The rule was clear. There were thousands of galactic laws that governed the stars, but one stood above them all, etched in every interstellar treaty, whispered in every academy, and enforced with a sacred fear. Do not harm human children. The reason? History. The last time a rogue pirate clan had abducted human orphans from a remote colony, humanity had answered not with diplomacy, but with extinction. The clan, its fleet, and even the asteroid belt they lived in had been vaporized. Since then, the galaxy knew peace through fear, fear of humanity's wrath. The Galactic Empire, vast and arrogant, believed itself above such superstition. Ruled by logic and conquest, it had assimilated hundreds of species and shattered thousands of worlds. But it had never dared touch Earth or her colonies. Until now, High Chancellor Varel sat in his obsidian chamber, peering down at a trembling officer. "Repeat your report," he commanded. The officer swallowed hard. "We raided Outpost Eden 3, believing it was abandoned. But it wasn't. There were children, human children." Silence. Varel's eyes narrowed. "And what happened to them?" "Some perished in the attack. Others were taken as prisoners." The room fell into a void of stillness. Even the war ministers shifted uncomfortably. It was more than a mistake. It was a declaration of war. From the depths of space, a beacon was already screaming through the void, a silent cry from the blood-soaked earth of Eden 3. It had been set off by a dying child who crawled with broken fingers to press the red button marked human response. Within minutes, Earth knew, and Earth remembered. In an underground bunker in Mars City, Admiral Lynn Reyes stood before a war council of humanity's deadliest minds. Her voice was cold steel. "They took our children." Around her, hardened warriors and cybernetic tacticians stiffened. No one needed more words. It was not just an attack. It was a betrayal of the rule. Lynn continued, "We've upheld that rule for centuries. We gave them peace, technology, and protection. In return, they promised never to harm our young." She paused, then pressed a button. The holomap lit up with the image of Eden 3, now a smoldering ruin. Drones had captured footage of small, lifeless bodies beneath collapsed shelters. Tiny hands reached out, frozen in time. "They broke the rule," Lynn said. "Now we break them." From the shadows emerged a man, cloaked in black armor, known only as the Warden. He had once hunted pirates, then vanished after the Eden massacre. It was whispered he had lost a daughter there. He spoke only once. "Give me a ship." Lynn nodded. Across human colonies, fleets powered up. AI commanders initiated kill protocols. Dormant weapons beneath planetary crusts reactivated after centuries. This wasn't a war. This was a reckoning. The children's cry echoes. Deep inside the Galactic Empire's most secure prison ship, Varnock 7, the atmosphere was tense. Inside its steel-boned walls, 12 surviving children from Eden. 3 sat huddled in a cold, metallic cell. Their faces were smeared with ash and dried tears, their clothes torn, their eyes empty. But within that silence, something unspoken was growing, something human, something dangerous. One of the older children, 9-year-old Liana, had wrapped her arms around the younger ones. She didn't cry anymore. She had cried when her teacher died, shielding them. She had screamed when her little brother's hand slipped from hers. But now she remembered her father's words before he left for Earth Fleet duty. "If anyone ever touches you, if anyone ever dares, just wait. Because we will come. No matter how far, no matter how strong they think they are, we will come." And now they would. On the other side of the galaxy, the Warden had already begun. His ship, the Revenant, was no ordinary vessel. It was a relic of the Silent War, infused with stealth tech and forbidden AI. Flying alone, he approached the edge of Empire territory undetected. Inside the Empire, Chancellor Varel dismissed the warnings. "Humans are emotional creatures. They bark before they bite," he told his council. "We've captured their young. Let them negotiate for their return. We'll use them as leverage." A low-ranking general, however, looked pale. "Chancellor, we received a transmission. One of our outposts near the Fringe Worlds has gone silent. Entire garrison gone." Pirates, Varel scoffed. No, sir. It was surgical. Clean. No traces. Only this symbol was left behind. The hologram shimmered into the shape of a broken chain. Varel's smile faded. Everyone knew what it meant. The warden was loose. Back on Varnock 7, a new guard entered the children's cell. He tossed a nutrient bar onto the floor and sneered. Eat up, little beasts. Maybe your parents will pay for your freedom soon. Liana stared at him. She didn't blink. She didn't speak. She just looked. And for a second, the guard felt something strange, a chill, as if he were not looking at a child but at a storm waiting to break. Elsewhere, the Revenant breached Imperial defenses like a ghost. It moved through asteroid fields, bypassed trip mines, danced around patrols. It was headed to one place, Varnock 7. The Warden knew those children were alive. He had intercepted their energy signatures. He had read the Empire's internal logs. He even knew the exact layout of their cells. And he had made a promise. For every tear they cried, a world will burn. Back in the war chambers of Mars, Admiral Lynn Reyes addressed the Alliance once more. The Warden has made contact. He's inside. It begins now. On thousands of screens, operatives across human space received the same encrypted message. Operation Wrath is green. It meant only one thing. No survivors. The breaker of chains. Varnock 7 drifted in the void, confident in its isolation. No enemy ship had ever made it through the nebula of Razek without being torn apart by ion storms or shredded by the black mines. But tonight, it wasn't an enemy ship approaching. It was vengeance. Inside the prison, the lights flickered. Guards glanced around nervously. The command bridge detected nothing, but their instincts screamed otherwise. One officer muttered, "Why is the AI down?" No one had an answer. Then darkness. In a single breath, every light on the prison ship died. The gravity faltered. Doors opened by themselves. Screams echoed from the barracks. Something was in the halls. Something that moved faster than sight. In the children's cell, the youngest boy, Miko, cried out. "Is he coming?" Liana held his hand tightly. "He's already here." And she was right. The warden stepped out of the smoke in the eastern hangar, wearing the matte black armor of the Terran exiles. His eyes glowed faint blue under his mask, his pulse rifle strapped to his back. But he didn't need it. He moved like a phantom. One guard raised his weapon. It never fired. A knife had already found his throat. Another tried to run. He didn't make it to the door. Surveillance footage caught glimpses, the blur of a cloak, the shimmer of a blade, the face of death with human eyes. The warden reached the command room. The officers begged. One even tried to offer access codes. But the warden didn't want codes. He wanted silence. And within 5 minutes, the prison's command center was a tomb. Then he reached the cells. Liana looked up as the door burst open. A tall figure stepped in, shadows flickering behind him. For a moment, the children froze, then saw the insignia on his armor. A silver phoenix over black steel. Hope. The warden knelt. "I'm here to take you home." Tears returned to their faces, not of fear this time, but of something long lost, safety. One by one, he lifted them in his arms, carrying the smallest while the older ones walked behind him. The corridors were quiet now. Blood still dripped from the walls. The children didn't ask questions. They understood. The warden placed explosive charges along the reactor core. As the countdown began, he ushered the children into an escape pod, locking in coordinates back to Mars. "I'll hold them off," he said. "No," Liana whispered. "You have to come with us." But the warden only smiled beneath his mask. "I promised your father I'd protect you." She froze. "You knew him. I served beside him. He saved my life. This is my debt." Then the doors shut. As the escape pod launched into the stars, the children watched Varnock 7 shrink behind them. And then explode. A silent sun blooming in the void. The warden never emerged. But he had fulfilled his promise. Humanity remembers. The children landed on Mars just before dawn. As the escape pod's doors opened, a dozen military medics rushed in, but they stopped at the sight before them. These are not just children anymore. They were survivors. The youngest, Miko, walked forward holding Liana's hand. None of them cried. None of them spoke. They had seen something no child should see, and they had witnessed something even more rare: the fury of humanity. High above, orbital satellites picked up the wreckage of Varnock 7, still burning in space. What shocked them wasn't the destruction. It was the message the Warden left behind, etched into the data core and transmitted galaxy-wide before the ship exploded. You broke the rule. You hurt the children. Now you will remember us, not as diplomats, not as traitors, but as the monsters you created. The message spread like wildfire. On Earth, the United Human Council stood for the first time in decades without division. On Venus, peace protests turned into recruitment drives. On Jupiter's moons, ex-soldiers pulled their dusty uniforms from closets. No orders were needed. The cry had gone out. Across every human colony, every outpost, every fleet, people stood. It wasn't about war anymore. It was about honor. Admiral Lynn Reyes stood before the human Senate. Behind her, the 12 children sat silently, wrapped in blankets. She pointed to them. They're the reason we rise. Not for revenge, but for justice. Today, we don't declare war. We declare our memory. We will remind the galaxy what it means to harm a child of Earth. The Galactic Empire, arrogant and vast, realized too late what they had awakened. Supply ships vanished in deep space. Border outposts reported ghosts in the void. Entire fleets were swallowed in ambushes that lasted seconds. One Empire commander's final log was found, broadcasting a single phrase: "They are not fighting us. They are hunting us." Back on Mars, Liana sat quietly in a garden. A statue was being built nearby, a monument to the Warden, his figure standing tall, a broken chain in one hand and a child in the other. Miko sat beside her and asked, "Will he ever come back?" Liana smiled softly. "No, but he never really left." She placed her hand on the soil and whispered, "He planted something in us, and one day, we'll grow strong enough to protect others, just like he did." The sun rose on Mars, and across the stars, a silent promise echoed in every human heart: never again.